Okay, so think about the DC universe. You've got your heroes of science, your Iron Man, your Batman, and then you've got your masters of, well, magic, a force of will, a deal with a demon, a word of power. But what if that dividing line isn't real? What if, under the hood, it's all just math?
That's the big question we're diving into. We're going to look at the DC universe not as a bunch of myths, but as one big, unified system. A system with rules. And lucky for us, we've got two very different guides to help crack the code, to translate the arcane into something we can actually get our heads around.
So, in one corner, you've got the ultimate logician, Batman, right? With his cold, hard analysis of extra-dimensional systems. And in the other corner, the ultimate con man, John Constantine, with his gritty, back-alley guide to what he calls metaphysical bookkeeping. One sees quantum mechanics, the other sees a cosmic IOU. And here's the kicker. They both discovered the exact same fundamental law of the universe.
Yeah, you heard me. And this one rule, it changes everything. It's the one constraint that governs every single spell, every magic artifact, every cosmic god. It's the one axiom that connects the scientist's lab and the sorcerer's summoning circle.
So let's start with Batman's take. He gives us this really formal definition, the coherence-entropy-debt axiom. Basically, coherence is the order you're trying to create, a spell working, a shield holding up. But to make that little pocket of order, you absolutely have to pay a price. You have to create an equal amount of disorder or entropy somewhere else. There is literally no free lunch in the cosmos.
Now, let's flip the coin. Here's how Constantine sees that exact same law. He doesn't mess around with axioms or quantum states. Nah. For him, it's the simple, brutal truth of a back-alley deal. Every spell is a transaction. You either pay your debt or the universe itself comes to collect. And trust me, you are not going to like the interest rates.
Okay, so think about what this means. If this one rule is behind everything, it means magic and physics, they're not opposites. They're just two different languages trying to describe the exact same thing. And that means we can build a translator.
And you know what? Our two guides, Batman and Constantine, they basically gave us one. A Rosetta Stone for magic. This is how we're going to take all that old, spooky occult stuff and slot it right into the cold, hard language of modern physics. And trust me, this is where things get really fun.
All right, check this out. This table is our key. Let's walk through it. So when you talk about an angel or a demon, forget good or evil. In physics terms, it's just a system operator. It's the piece of the code that makes something happen. That creepy corruption you get from a dark spell, that's your entropy debt coming back to haunt you. And you know how a spell can fade over time? Well, that's just decoherence. It's the universe's background noise slowly breaking down your perfectly ordered spell.
But honestly, the biggest mind blower on this list has to be this one. Belief, faith, willpower. We think of it as just a feeling, right? Nope. In this system, it's a number, a variable you can actually plug into the equation, the coupling constant. It literally sets how strongly your spell connects with reality. Weak will, weak constant, the spell just fizzles. But if you have unbreakable will, man, you are cranking that interaction dial all the way up to 11.
Okay, so we've got this cool new theory, right? Let's put it to the test. Let's take on the biggest baddie of them all, Darkseid's anti-life equation. We're going to tear it apart and see how it works. Not as some cosmic myth, but as a straight-up weapon of physics.
First things first, we got to change how we think about it. Because according to this framework, anti-life isn't just mind control. That's the comic book term. In physics, it's way more terrifying. It's an information phase transition operator. It fundamentally changes the state of your will, your very consciousness.
And the way it works is just horrifyingly clean. It's a three-step process. First, precondition. Darkseid floods the world with despair and fear. And that's not just mind games, that's pure physics. He's literally lowering the energy barrier that protects your free will. Second, force collapse. He hits you with the anti-life operator, and the beautiful chaos of your free will gets crushed down into a single, perfectly ordered, zero-entropy state of obedience. And third, displace the debt. I mean, all that chaos from wiping out billions of free-thinking minds, it has to go somewhere, right?
And this is maybe the best way to visualize it. Constantine, of course, has the perfect gritty analogy. He says to think of free will as this chaotic, turbulent, boiling liquid. That's us. What Darkseid does with anti-life is like instantly flash freezing that liquid into a perfect, flawless crystal. Every particle, every will, locked into the exact same lowest energy state.
And you better believe a process that powerful generates a bill. A huge one. See, there's this real-world thing called Landauer's principle. It says erasing information always creates entropy. It's a law of physics. So when you plug in N for, the billions of people on Earth, you don't just get a big bill. You get an entropy debt on a cosmic scale. You've created a literal entropy bomb.
So, that's the big question, isn't it? Where does Darkseid dump all that cosmic trash? Well, the analysis points to one place and one place only, the antimatter universe. Turns out it's not just some weird parallel reality. It's the designated thermodynamic exhaust pipe for our entire cosmos. And you have to ask yourself, what happens if that cosmic landfill gets full, if it overflows? It's game over for everybody.
Okay, that was dark. But here's the cool part, the flip side. Because if magic is just physics, if a curse is just a nasty bit of code, then it can be hacked. You don't fight it with more brute force. You fight it with a more elegant piece of code, with better physics.
And just look at the beautiful, perfect symmetry of the counterhack. So the anti-life equation forces a single state of absolute certainty, submission. But Wonder Woman's lasso of truth, it counters that by enforcing a different kind of certainty. It forces a quantum measurement. It makes you observe your true self, collapsing your consciousness back to its original chaotic state of free will. It's not a magic lie detector, people. It's a quantum measurement device for the soul. How cool is that?
And this logic applies to other so-called magic defenses too. You see someone draw the new Genesis symbol for freedom? That's not just a hopeful prayer. That's a topological protection. It's a metaphysical firewall for your soul, shielding your personal data from being overwritten. And what about a simple worded circle? Think of it like noise-canceling headphones for reality. It keeps the universe's random static out so the person inside can focus. So when you strip it all away, the entire grand conflict of the DC universe, it boils down to a fight over thermodynamics. On one side, you've got anti-life. It's pushing for zero entropy, for perfect order, for absolute unchanging certainty. That's death. And on the other side, you've got the life equation. It thrives on chaos, on high entropy, on infinite possibilities. And that is life.
And of course, we gotta let Constantine have the last word, bringing it all back down to earth with that perfect cynical punch. All the spooks, all the curses, all the things that go bump in the night, that's not the supernatural. That's just the bill for some forgotten thermodynamic transaction finally showing up at your door.
So that's where we'll leave it. But it does make you wonder, right? If the magic in the DC universe maps so cleanly onto real-world physics, what about all the other stories we love? What other gods are just system operators? What other curses are just entropy debts waiting to be paid? What other myths are out there that are just physics we haven't written the equations for yet?